Corvus Corax, the shadowborn sun, a weapon shaped in darkness by my design for a purpose without end, a blade forged in silence, honed by necessity, unleashed where my will could not reach. Of all my sons, Corax was shaped most deeply by shadow, not upon a field of conquest, not within the manufactorums of Mars, nor the scholae of terror, but upon deliverance, a prison world, a world of chains, bereft of hope. When I came to deliverance, the chains were already broken, the tyrants cast down. I didn't find him upon a throne nor among a grateful people, and in his gaze I saw no hunger for dominion, no thirst for conquest, only the will to deliver justice. Justice that bowed to no master, justice that sought no crown. He was my son, yet he was not mine. He belonged first to the oppressed, the voiceless, the chained. From the moment of his creation I knew Corvus Corax would be the hand I could not extend, the voice I could not raise, the shadow that would strike where my light could not reach. It is said I shaped each of my sons with purpose beyond mortal comprehension. In the gene craft and the warp-wrought secrets, I set destinies immutable. This is truth. Corax was forged as the blade of retribution, the silent hunter in the dark, the raven that watches and strikes without warning, his soul marked by necessity, his heart hardened beneath the weight of justice denied. In him I placed no seed of peace, no gift of joy, only duty, and duty without reprieve becomes a chain heavier than any forged by man. He rose upon deliverance as its liberator, the breaker of chains, the storm that shattered the yoke of the oppressor. When I came to that world, I saw him, draped in black, his purpose set, his gaze fixed upon the horizon where freedom lay. He did not look upon me as a son upon a father. He looked upon me as a servant upon duty, as a weapon awaiting command. I did not correct him. I did not call him son. What is a son to one who bears the burden of a species' survival? Corax took his place among the Legions Astartes, leading the Raven Guard into battle. His warriors reflected his nature, silent, swift, relentless. They sought no glory. They claimed no laurels. They were the shadow upon the enemy's heart. Yet in that silence, a wound grew. Corax bore a torment his brothers could not see. Where others built empires, he counted the cost. Where others found triumph, he saw only the dead. He could not abide the cruelty necessity demanded, and I, who made him thus, could offer no comfort. Only command, only decree. He was among the purest of my creations, and among the most burdened. He sought no dominion, he craved no victory. He sought only to end the suffering of those who could not fight for themselves. And so he became the most tragic of my sons. For the galaxy offered no peace to Corax, no end to the injustice he sought to destroy. At Istvan Firth, the shadow of betrayal fell most deeply upon him. There the Raven Guard was broken upon the anvil of treachery. His sons butchered, his purpose shattered, his dreams consumed by the fires of heresy. And yet he endured. Wounded beyond healing, he gathered the fragments of his legion and forged them anew, not with pride, not with vengeance alone, but with the grim resolve of one who knows there is no other path. I watched him then, distant, silent, as I was bound to be, and I saw the shadow deepen within him. For Corax did what I made him to do. He waged war in the dark, and became the darkness. There are those who call him a martyr, a silent angel. They do not know him as I do. Corax was no angel. He was the blade I could not wield, the storm I could not unleash without destroying what I swore to protect. And in that, he was most necessary and most destined for sacrifice. This is the burden of creation, to forge weapons knowing they must break, to shape souls knowing they will be spent. Corax did not curse me. He did not seek absolution. He bore his agony in silence as I bore mine. He sought no thanks, only the means to continue the war, only the tools to restore what could not be restored. And so, through my agents, he was given that which would damn him further, the gene lore of the past, the power to create anew. There was no other gift, no peace, no end, only the means to wage war unending, and so he descended into the abyss of his own making. The flawed sons, the desperate clones, the broken echoes of what should have been perfect. And when they fell to ruin, it was no failure of his, it was mine. For I set him upon that path, knowing where it must end. Corax was born of shadow, and to shadow he returned. His tale is not one of glory, it is a record of necessity, a scripture of duty without end. And still, his burden had not ended. Corax turned from the ruin of his legion, from the ashes of his hopes, from the dream of unity that had been torn asunder. Where others rebuilt, he vanished. Where others claimed, he relinquished. He walked into the night of the Imperium and became the shadow that no light could follow. He made no proclamation. He raised no banner. He did not summon his brothers, nor seek their counsel. For what counsel could there be? What voice could offer words to a son shaped for duty, when duty had devoured all that he was? In those years that followed, wherever treachery festered, wherever oaths had been broken, there in silence the raven struck. No witness recorded his hand. No remembrancer carved his name upon stone. No vox spoke of his coming. Only ruin remained, ruins of the faithless, ruins of the traitor's refuge, ruins of what once had been empire. He became myth, a wraith that stalked the edges of the Imperium's memory, a terror spoken of in whispers by those who once called him brother. There are worlds that bear the scar of his passing, worlds where the night came alive, and when it fled, nothing remained but ash. There was no seeking him, no solace I could offer. My voice, long fallen silent, could not have reached him, and he had long departed the paths where such words might matter. Corax walked where my light no longer reached. He hunted where my will could not endure. He did what remained to be done, because no other could. They say he entered the void, that he turned his gaze upon the eye of terror itself, that in the heart of the storm he became something more, or something less. They say the traitor fears the dark, because in the dark the raven waits. What became of him, I cannot speak. My sight, vast though it is, sees not all that lies beyond the veil. And perhaps that is just. Corax was the hand I could not raise, the blade I could not wield, the judgment I could not voice. That he is lost to me is as it must be. He did not seek reward. He did not seek remembrance. His was the path of the necessary, the path of the doomed. Some say he was consumed by the shadows he walked, that the storm he became swallowed what remained of the sun I had forged. Others say he endures unseen, unheard, a terror upon those who betrayed us, a scourge upon the faithless. But I will not speak of what I do not know. I speak only this. Corax bore the duty I placed upon him. He bore it until there was nothing left to bear it. And in that, he fulfilled his purpose. There are no monuments to Corax, no records of his triumphs, no banners raised in his name upon the worlds he saved. His legacy was not meant for stone nor song. It endures in silence, in the fear of traitors who remember what hunts the dark, in the quiet justice of deeds done unseen. He was the storm in the night, the shadow on the edge of vision, the blade that fell when all others faltered. The Imperium remembers fragments, a myth, a wraith, a whisper of retribution. But I remember the truth. Corax was drawn into a war that should never have been. A soul shaped for justice and consumed by duty. What he became no song recalls, what he bore no monument marks. His shadow lingers not in stone nor story, but in the quiet terror of those who remember what it is to betray. He was the necessity I could not deny, the executioner I could not become, the burden I couldn't show. And in his silence, he spoke for me. In his torment, he bore what I couldn't bear. In his fall, he achieved what I could not. There are those who will speak of his fate, weaving tales of his final battle, of his last words, of his end upon some nameless world or within the eye itself. Let them. I speak what I know. Corax bore the weight of duty beyond all endurance, and he was consumed by it. He did not ask for peace. He did not seek forgiveness. He sought only to do what was required. And so ends the record of Corax. A shadow upon the stars. A blade that struck in the dark. A son who bore the burden I could not, and was consumed by it.